I mean, why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Kha'Zix has been banned out, taking that one away from Frederick. We saw how strong he was in that last game. Those Flash Void Spikes secured 2 kills, which was pretty incredible to witness, but Lee Sin as well taken away from that jungle role.
Yeah, so 2 jungle bans already. We saw Jarvan banned out in the first game, so will we see that once again? But support is the next port of call for our bans.
Yeah, Fresh has been taken away here by Ascension, followed by Irelia for the last ban from Giants. And if this isn't Nah here, I think Ascension have just gone insane.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. This pretty much has to be Nah. I mean, if they don't ban Nah here, there's something very wrong. Or Svenna knows a counter, which he'd be the first person to know a counter to Nah.
Oh,
my
okay.
goodness.
This is very interesting. So I have not seen a Nah not banned for a long time.
Weeks. We're talking
yeah.
So many weeks we've seen Nah just 6th ban, always out. Whirly B, I mean, you've got to imagine he's just saying, give me Nah. Give me Nah. There we go.
Okay, so, I mean, like, that's a very risky play coming out here. Xerath, of course, aims at Peppy.
Yeah, but at this point, this forces Ascension's hand. They have to take Jarvan.
Yeah.
So one of the major reasons of why Nah is banned out so much is his synergy with a lot of the jungle picks right now, especially with Jarvan. Nah and Jarvan on the same team allows you to combine ultimates, basically, so that Jarvan goes in with the Cataclysm, Nah follows up, and ever since the changes a good few patches ago, Nah's ultimate will now stun any target that hits the Cataclysm wall. So Ascension pretty much have to take away Jarvan, or Giants have possibly one of the best team fighting compositions you could ever have, because Jarvan Orianna here would be insane.
Absolutely, and, well, Nah picked up here means that any player created terrain. So, you know, we might just see, like, Trundle, Jarvan.
Let's not go crazy here.
And they do not take Jarvan.
Oh my goodness.
And then Jarvan now is getting hovered over by Giants. They swap over to Elise, but, like, they are not in a... Well, actually, they could just take Jarvan here. I mean, there's no reason not to. This is handing them the combo on the silver platter. There you go. Okay. Jarvan locked in. Janna as well, taking that one away from Angelus.
It's crazy land here at the EU LCS expansion. This is the composition that if you speak to any player in Challenger LCS, I don't care where you're from, if you speak to anybody about 4.19, they say Nah Jarvan is unbelievably strong. And this is either a confidence play out of Ascension or they've gone crazy.
Very possible. Are they going to bring out something here, though? Because we did talk about they have picks here that are curveballs, and here's one of them. Hecarim comes out, and we know that Mr. in the jungle does like him some Hecarim.
We are in for a crazy game, because if there's one champion that doesn't matter so much about terrain, it's Hecarim with his Onslaught of Shadows, because he's going straight through that. Yeah. But what is going on? This is such a strange pick and ban phase already. Yeah. I don't know where to begin. The supports are standard. Let's go with that. Okay. Janna and Nami are the same supports we've seen time and time again. The Jinx has been picked away from Adri. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm in the jungle here. Has actually seen some play in the top lane, actually some play in the middle lane as well, but not so much in the jungle, because a lot of pro players that you speak to will be like, well, you prefer to have the gold income from those solo lanes so you can hit the Trinity Force faster.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty true. It's not something we see all that much out of the jungle, and I guess Ascension are going to breathe somewhat of a sigh of relief with that mid lane lock-in that it's not an Orianna.
Yes. They also pick up the Lucian for the AD carry, so they will have that alongside the Janna, undoubtedly one of the stronger bot lanes down there at the moment. And then Syndra will be on Peppy. And then we do have Ascension hovering over Diana.
I don't think we're going to see Diana. We would have actually gone to Crazy Town if Diana got locked in.
But we do know Sven has that as a pocket pick.
Well, we haven't seen it. We heard short rumors that we've not seen it. It's one of those whispers in the wind.
Yeah.
I don't think is actually going to rear its head here. Maokai has already been locked in. So the top laner is already gone, and it's not going to become a factor.
Okay, so Ahri locked in here. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But still, Hecarim will be coming out. That will be thrown into the jungle. But more importantly, like, we look at compositions and where to start better than Gnar Jarvan. This is the quintessential teamfight composition.
It really is. Lead into that, the stun that's going to come out from Syndra. That is so much teamfight presence that you pair that with a Janna for disengage and also obviously the sieging potential. Giants have a very strong lineup, and Ascension don't as such have a meta strong lineup, but we know they've got a couple of comfort picks here.
Okay, I'm very excited to see how this one's going to go, and looking at Mr. as well, looking at his summoner spell. Now, we did see Flash Ghost in the last game by XP Peppy in the mid lane with that Zeref pickup. We know he likes to Twisted Fate as well. Those are kind of the summoner spells that you like to go with those champions, but he will be picking up the Ghost for the jungle, and yes, movement speed does scale with your passive, but still an interesting pickup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what to expect out of this Hecarim here. It's not a champion we see all that much. We already talked about it. Mr. does play it. He's comfortable on it, so we'll see what he can do. It's do or die here for Ascension.
It is, and backs up against the wall. I guess they just thought, well, if there's any time to bring out a curveball pick, it's right here, right now, in the second game of this best of 3. And they do not want to be leaving the EU LCS expansion tournament at this stage in the game. We're only in the first round.
Yeah, indeed. So it's that time again. Get your predictions in on Twitter at LOL Esports. Tweet us using the hashtag LCS expansion. And let us know who you think is going to win this crazy, crazy game. Because I know who I think just from the team composition alone, but we've been proven wrong before. We're not going to find out quite yet, because that's an instant pause.
Yes, indeed. So let's hope that it doesn't take too long. So far, we haven't actually had any pauses, so we'll see how this one resolves itself. It's going to take a couple of seconds. Looks like one of the players just said it's going to be just a couple of seconds, so it shouldn't be too long.
Okay, because we wouldn't want any long pauses during
we would not.
This game. That would not be the best thing to happen, but hopefully it is only a short pause. This gives you time to get your tweets in as well, guys. So you can head over to Twitter, take a leisurely tweet as well. Retype it a couple of times, make sure it all fits. Get everything you want to say in there.
Including Gnar Jarvan, because that is going to be playing a major feature in this game. Now, we've been hyping this combo up so much that if it falls flat, we're going to look like idiots. But if you look at it on paper, it should work out in theory.
On paper, the combination is unbelievably strong. However, not a laner can play Gnar up to the standard that it needs to be. And that sounds like quite a disparaging comment. But remember, Gnar as a champion doesn't have his ultimate available at all times. You have to build that rage meter, turn into Mega Gnar, and then use the ultimate. So if the engages are timed to when you don't have your rage bar or you've just come out of Mega Gnar form, it's a very difficult prospect to actually take that team fight using that combination.
Yeah, so this still requires a lot of coordination from this team to pull off, but if it works out perfectly, it is extremely strong. So we are now onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. We do have Giants now in the bottom left-hand corner, sporting the blue colors. Up in the right-hand corner, of course, will be Ascension, the EUNE team, looking to make a splash in this tournament and see if they can hang on in this series, one game down.
It's a do or die here for Ascension. So they're bringing out picks like the Hecarim. But to do it, they've given away strong picks, and I'm not sure I agree with that so much. But maybe somewhere in their playbook, Hecarim is great against Gnar Jarvan. I think the Narvan combination, though, is just so strong right now.
Yes, indeed. Whirly B puts out the ward, puts out the auto attacks, has managed to land 2 successful boomerang throws so far. And it looks like we will be having a slower start to the explosive start we had in the last game where both teams met head-to-head. And Whirly B doesn't quite land his next boomerang onto Mr., but they will actually start trading off here. Peppy comes in from the mid lane, throws out the Dark Sphere.
Yeah, he does indeed. Now, what makes Gnar, I keep wanting to say Narvan now that I've said it once. What makes Gnar such a good pick up in that top lane? Boomerang is great for harass. That is the first point. Has a lot of damage that comes from that. He's a manaless champion, so it means you can use that pretty much just based on the cooldowns. Obviously, catching it is going to do a better job, but he gets a massive spike in resistances and health very early on into the game on that first transformation into Mega Gnar, and you can't underestimate that. That's essentially free gold advantage for a small portion of time that allows you to dominate the lane. Take a look at bottom lane, though. Ascension are trying to set the lane up for themselves, but this didn't go well the first game.
They start trading off against them, and Ascension have to try and kite their way back to their turret, and Laduscaro on Jinx takes so much damage. And he actually picks the Jinx himself this game, so it's like, well, it worked out for you last game, Adri. I guess I'll try my look at it, but heading into this laning phase, that wasn't a great start.
No, that was a repeat performance of the last game, but take a look at where the chips have fallen here. Looks like they are going to regain control of the wave, even though they took a little bit more damage to begin.
So, now taking a look at this middle lane, I don't want to take my eyes from bot lane for too long, because just in a split second, Ascension did manage to turn around the damage. But taking a look at this middle lane, Xpeppy this time will be on that Syndra, up against Flezef, moving away from the Jace into this Ahri, which is definitely in line with his assassin mid laners he likes to play.
And there is the first transformation of the game up in the top lane. You can see Gnar, who normally in mini Gnar has not so much health, has quite a lot more currently than Maokai right now. Middle lane.
Flezef gets hit up by the full combo by Xpeppy. Lands the Ignite as well, but the health potion is enough to keep him healthy for now. But both mid laners are in critical condition, and the Vultures are circling. Both the junglers are moving around the middle lane.
They are indeed. Which is going to be the first jungler to get into the lane? Are we going to see the Ghost come out from Mr. here? He may need it if he wants to get in, but he's moving away to the jungle, and that could open up a little bit of a position here for Frederick to hop over the wall.
Yes, Flezef is now in better shape when it comes to his health bar. So this would be a risky dive if they chose to go for it. In fact, Frederick will just decide to take away the Wraiths instead. Likewise, Mr. did the same thing.
I have a feeling that Flezef kind of just read the situation, but maybe he's misread it now. Stun's going to land.
Oh, there's the flag and drag. Does he have the flash? Yes, he does. But does he choose to use it? Yes, he does as well. But first blood comes through for Xpeppy. And he used the flash and used the Ignite. That was worst case scenario.
I was about to praise Flezef on the fact that he positioned himself at the furthest possible route for Jarvan to get into lane, and then goes and plants a ward and pretty much gives him his position up. Bottom lane.
Oh, the Flame Chompers will land onto Rydell, and Adri comes in to try and save the support's life. Angelus will be using Exhaust, however. Laduscaro allows the zap as well.
Flash.
Angelus comes in, but the flash, and gets heal baited out, so burns the flash for the heal.
Flash for heal goes pretty much in favor of the heal-using team every time. Flash is too important a summoner to trade for a lower cooldown, but they will be okay for now. Back up in the top lane, here comes another transformation out of Whirly B, and again, he's forcing Svenna away. Look at the CS difference, 35 CS to 20 so far in this lane. I mean, this is why we see Gnar banned away. There is no second way about it. He hasn't even had to use a health potion yet.
And we are starting to see a repeat of this first game here, Stress, even just in terms of the farm. 37 CS in the top lane, but let's switch attention to bot lane. Angelus gets caught out by the flying drive by Frederick. Laduscaro as well is getting chased down, but that will be the end of the chase here. Frederick picks up that kill. Mr. though in the top lane will be looking for this gank onto Whirly B, but hops away, will be getting back to his turret, and that's another reason why Gnar's so strong right now.
Yeah, did we forget to mention that Gnar has an escape that when you land on a unit, you bounce? That's pretty good at getting yourself away from a gank like that, so add that to the strengths column, but add this to the gank column in mid.
Oh, Frederick looks like he was going for the gank, but did decide better of it as Flezef was already back at his turret. However, looking at that middle lane, we were just talking about the gold disparity in the top lane, but look at mid lane as well. Another 20 CS advantage, which did have that gank at the start, but it's just a complete repeat of the first game.
Yeah, indeed. This is just game one going on again, and I want to take a quick second to look at the builds. Take a look at Adri. For the laning phase, he's picked up the Brutalizer before any other item, which on a Lucian, you get a Brutalizer, but never this early on. You tend to build that as a second item after picking up your Infinity Edge. So That is a little bit curious of a pickup.
Well, it means he will have the extra penetration for the laning phase, so his skills at least will hit like a truck, but Frederick now heads into his jungle as well. See if he maybe looks for a lane gank because Peppy is heading into the bot lane. He has been spotted out by that pink ward in the river. He did not check that bush. I think he knows that they have been ticked off about his presence. Will move through the river again. Puts out the sweeper. Where's the ward? Walks past the pink ward, didn't even notice it, and did actually ping it, so Frederick's going to be the one to clear it out.
Mr. however, is going aggressive on Hecarim already, and you can see he's got himself a lead with regards to farm coming out of the jungle, but 2 assists onto Jarvan, you have to feel are a little bit better for the team as a whole, as that has made this game to a 2-0 scoreline so far. And with Ascension in such a dire position with regards to being 0-1 down, they have to get a couple of kills and quick.
You have to feel that this curveball pick of the Hecarim jungle will start having to do something to make it worthwhile to give up Jarvan. So far, I'm not seeing all that much. We're just kind of seeing the strong picks looking very strong, as you would expect on paper. Bot lane as well, starting to open up the CS differential. And unless Ascension do something fairly soon, this game is going to snowball out of control like the last one.
Yeah, I feel like it will as soon as Giants start to group, as they just have such a good composition for team fighting. However, Frederick may be caught in a 1v2.
Yeah, doesn't land the charm though, doesn't land any of the skill shots, and Frederick will just make his way out using that flag and drag. We do get the positioning on the pink ward, clear that one away. Willie was thinking about heading down there. Will be initiating onto that Gnar.
No rage.
Uses his ultimate. There's the hop. Will be moving away. Rage Gene is a fair way off. Mr. pops his ghost. And does he have the follow? Will be using that rampage to try and deal the rest of the damage. Now the rage is starting to build up. Did have the onslaught of shadows and didn't choose to use that either. Yeah,
a little surprised he didn't do it when he had Gnar pinned towards the wall. That would have feared him for just enough time, perhaps, but look at how low Svenna was on mana at the beginning of that. One twisted advance would have been enough to lock that down, just didn't have the mana to set it up.
Also interesting, because Mr. had enough mana for his Onslaught of Shadows, but opted towards the Spirit of Dread instead. So he had 80 mana instead of 100, and then couldn't use it after that. So you would expect, if it was a pocket pick, for him to be managing his mana correctly. So I guess that was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see on the next engage whether he does prioritize that, but bottom lane, here comes the roam from Peppy.
And Angelus is already on his way out. Does manage to still connect the Scout of the Week, though. Will force the flash out from this army. The teleport now comes in. Here comes Sven, and Gnar will do the same thing, and he will actually follow through with the teleport. Sven gets locked up here briefly, looking for this stun coming out from Peppy. However, Hecarim comes in from the side, still has his ultimate, remember, from the last engagement, and does he choose to go for it? We do have Flazev coming in from the middle lane as well. Everyone is collapsing around this area, and this would have been a 4 versus 5 had they chosen for it.
Yeah, but I don't think that Ascension know that Jarvan isn't there. Now they do, because he showed himself in the middle lane.
Oh, Whirlybee takes so much damage. The Super Mega Death Rocket drops him low. Here comes the Hecarim ultimate, will be finishing off, but now he's in the middle of the enemy team. He drops in turn for that kill, 1 for 1 so far. Now Flazev comes in from around the side, trying to get this assassination onto Peppy. He gets that kill, has used the rest of the charges. Andrew comes in from the side, gets that 1 for 1 in the midst of this fight. This is incredibly messy, but Jinx will be flashing away. Jusgro survives, but there's the flash into the Dragon Strike from Frederick. The 2 for 2 so far. Svenny follows up, make that a 3 for 2, an advantage for Ascension. Now Ryder was the last remaining member looking for this chase. They can't get in range.
The Gnar-Jarvan combination only works if you manage to stack the 2 ultimates on top of each other, and they were so far away at the beginning of that engage. Gnar died without Jarvan and getting anywhere near to the fight, and Ascension get a good fight when they knew that the composition just was not in place for Giants. And this is a bold play, however, because there is not a lot of damage that's going to come from these 2 champions. And look at the rest of Giants heading already towards the Dragon. Yes, they don't have the smite there, but Willie is going to have a lot of damage to harass here, and they may be able to pick up a fight at the tail end of this Dragon.
Yeah, this is going to be tight, and it's going to be a 50-50 on who picks up the Dragon as well. This is beginning to get very messy. There comes the steal coming in from Frederick. A great start to this one. A 1-0. Peppy has been caught out by Mr., and he will get dropped here in turn. That goes for a 1 for 2, but more importantly, Giants secure the Dragon.
A brilliant steal, and that's what I was talking about, is Frederick had enough time to even get to the dragon, so they didn't have to just clean up at the end. They just take the objective for themselves, and Giants have a really nice lead here with a better composition for the mid-game.
Giants trying to take away this blue buff as well, and this is an aggressive play, but an aggressive play that's probably going to work out just a little bit better than that aggressive play onto the dragon coming out by Ascension. As a bold move, did not pay off. Now they are still falling behind in this game. 3,500 gold is no small total at 12 minutes into the game.
It really is not. And take a look at the AD carries. We just highlighted Adri picking up, pushing up in that bottom lane, I should say. And look at the farm differential, but the engage.
Frederick comes into the mid lane, uses the flag and drag. Mr. comes in as well. Will be landing his E, heading into this engagement, but we do have the Maokai coming in from the side, but Angelus collapses in from the bottom lane. Tidaway will be splitting them up. They get the first kill onto Rydell, looking for the second onto X-Peppy. The Super Mega Death Rocket flies through, but doesn't manage to connect onto any of the members. Aggressive play, but good timing push by Ascension.
Yeah, it is a good timing push, but Nara is nearly in the fight. Frederick doesn't have his ultimate, though, but is it enough if he can build the Rage Meter?
He's nowhere near it, though, and isn't in the right place to be using the ultimate regardless. However, Ascension do back off, so it wasn't enough just having his presence there to repel them from the tower.
You cannot underestimate the presence that Nara is going to have in the team fight. Even if you're up against a tower or a small wall, just one big push will swipe them into the stun.
Well, Flezev has been caught out here. Culling comes across. Has the charm onto X-Peppy, and he will be dropping a 1-for-1. Both mid laners exchange. Another great bubble by Angelus. Will be securing another kill.
He's
going to
transform.
Is almost at his ultimate. Here comes the crunch. Wallop comes down. Does not land, but there's the ultimate. Slammed against the wall, and he just needs one more ultimate. Angelus secures that one, so a 3-for-2 in advantage to Ascension. But what a messy engagement underneath the turret.
Ascension will take these, though. They have the slightly worse composition, but in these scrappy engages over time, Ascension are getting the better of it. And that is just Giants letting go of focus on their composition here. Maybe they're not used to running this setup. It is very infrequent that teams will get both Jarvan and Na. I still want to say Navan. It's very infrequent you'll get both, so it's not often you get to practice it. And if you haven't practiced something, and you pull it out in an important game and you're not balancing your crowd control and ultimates during team fights properly, it is difficult to get the consistency fight after fight after fight.
But if history repeats itself, last game laning phase went to Giants. Then there was a lapse in concentration where it looked like Ascension were getting back into the game. They didn't make any proactive plays like what is happening right now, Stress. So do we have the same game that we had last time around go from here? That's the question.
And we'll see if we have an answer for that in the coming minutes, because if history does repeat itself, you have to feel like Giants are going to find their groove a little time soon. But it is all still to play for. It's still 1-0, and Ascension are starting to get their way back in this game. It's gone from about 4,000 gold difference to just over 1,000. The stun lands in the middle lane, but no real follow-up here from Giants. Let's take a quick look at the wards and vision across the map, because again, neither team is really all that confident in putting deep wards into their opponent's jungle, and I have to feel like this is kind of slowing down a bit of the aggression when ahead.
It is, but it definitely seems like this is the playstyle from both of these teams. They just don't apparently like to go for those aggressive wards, or even super defensive wards either. They like the wards where they are.
Now, they're building up for this next team fight. Look at how high Whirlybee is keeping his rage meter. They're going towards a turret. That's an objective he can combo off with his ultimate. And this is good team fight setup here by Whirlybee. But is it too late? Just holds it before he transforms.
97 rage, so he's very, very close to transforming. This is maybe showing the cards, though. They will know he's very close to heading into that Rage Gene passive. But this is very intense, because this could very quickly reach breaking point, but it will be Mister going for the engage. Uses the ultimate, but here's the crunch. Wallop comes out.
Big
stun! Lands the stun onto 3 members, but this is again underneath the turret. He will be dropping a 2-for-0. Mister somehow managed to escape from the fight, and they look to chase down Giants. Either way, it's a 2-for-0, and this is a great fight for Ascension once again.
Big stun comes out, but he flashed forward to get the stun. Remember, Gnar combos off player created terrain. Cataclysm is still available for Frederick. They are not using this composition to its strength, and it is causing them to fall apart in these team fights.
Tower goes down, everyone rushes away from the turret from Ascension, and you have to feel stressed. Was this the biggest mind game play of the century? Where they're like, okay, you take Gnar and Jarvan, we actually know you don't play this combination, but it's there and you have to take it.
That's a dangerous mind game to play. I'm going to be honest. That is such a tricky thing if you can make that work for your team. I wouldn't say that intrinsically Ascension picked a composition that can deal with the combination well.
Yeah.
I would pin it more down to Giants just not being used to playing it, because you don't need to flash like that. On Gnar, you have a gap close. You have a teammate that creates a stun essentially for free for you. And then you have disengage. Here's the engage.
Here's the engage by Frederick. He uses the ult pick, lands the Cataclysm, a stun onto 2 members. Angelus will be jumping away. Mister, he doesn't have flash. He took Ghost, but he will be able to retreat back to his team. Zap will be landing here, follow with the auto attack. Mister is still very aggressive on critical HP, but again, somehow he escapes from the engagement. He is just a master of getting away from a dire situation. Whirly B is trying to get into range. No one drops from Ascension, but everyone is fairly low off the back of that fight.
I have to wonder how much Whirly B has had an opportunity to play Gnar. I mean, look at his build right now. It's a mix of everything that's going towards a Frozen Mallet, which is not the best first item on Gnar. It is an item we've seen picked up a couple of times, but on Gnar, you really want to build some sense of health and a Black Cleaver at some point as well. That typically is what we've seen a lot of. We've seen a lot of kind of Sunfire Cape, we've seen Randuins with that Black Cleaver as well to, you know, get some damage, use that percent damage on the 3rd stack from his W. But he's not tanky enough to lead the charge into these team fights, and he's getting dropped very quickly, and you have to feel, is it going to happen again here as we kick this fight off?
Oh, Angelus has been caught up by the Scout of the Week, and Unleashed Power will drop him where he stands. Adri will be following up with the culling just to zone him away from the Dragon Pit. Rather, Giants were able to take that one away, plus the kill, and now they're looking to pressure the middle lane. In fact, Ping's going to the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think bottom lane is the best objective to look towards here. It's the furthest point right now from Giants, from Ascension, and Giants can pretty much take this down somewhat uncontested if they're fast about it. Doesn't look like Ascension actually want to contest this. So they get the Dragon, they get a turret, and that will kickstart their lead once again.
So Giants take a lot away from that engagement. They are 1,000 gold on pretty much everyone, but almost 3,000 gold for Lucian. He will be able to finish off a huge item here. There is the Infinity Edge and the Ghost Blade completed, a gigantic power spike for him.
Yeah, that is massive, and we talked about how he had the Brutalizer earlier. I'm glad to see he did opt for that Infinity Edge in the end, because that is so much of Lucian's damage during team fights, getting that double shot from that passive, making sure that you have just so much damage on targets. But yeah, that Ghost Blade is a crucial part as well for the wave clear using the culling. But Ascension are on the aggressive stance right now, but they're going to get cut out.
Again, Angelus is the first one to drop here. There is the Cataclysm, but that'll be used to finish him off, so they won't have to turn into Gnar ultimate. There's a 1-for-1, the mid laner exchange. This is actually a better team fight here for Ascension. They have to now try and play damage controls. Whirly B isn't his ultimate. Doesn't land the wallop onto anybody, but Lajuscaro has to get away from this fight. They are just playing the disengaged game. Whirly B, there's the ultimate onto Flezer. Jump over the wall, the flank and drag. Lajuscaro gets the shutdown onto Jarvan, so a 2-for-2 so far, and Whirly B is still on the aggression. Boomerang toss doesn't quite clip him.
He doesn't, and I'm glad to see that Lajuscaro doesn't turn around and try and land the zap there. He could have tried to kite, but it's difficult to get away from Gnar if he can catch that boomerang on the return. But Giants managed to turn a dire situation into their favor somewhat there. They get a turret from it and force Ascension back from the aggressive stance.
And it feels like no matter how much you talk about how you feel the next team fight's going to go, it always goes in the opposite direction when we get into these fights. It's never how you predict it's going to go. So incredibly scrappy, to use one of the words you've coined, Stress, that these teams, well, can't really predict how the fights are going to go. They're all over the place.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that... okay, I'm completely lost on what Whirlybee is doing here. I'm guessing it's going towards the Trinity Force, because otherwise he's building all sorts of crazy items, but delaying your first completed item this long into the game is not a very solid strategy. You want each completed item to kind of be a big spike in your either damage or resistances, unless you're so far ahead that you can kind of afford to build pieces here, because I don't feel like he's getting enough stats from things like just a Giant's Belt on its own or just a Phage. They don't give the most amount of combat stats compared to a completed Trinity Force or a completed health item. So he's kind of just getting a mixed bag and going into team fights and not having much luck.
In the bottom lane, Mister is waiting in the wings with Laduscaro. Maybe trying to get this kill onto Lucian here. And Ascension are moving the rest of the lineup into the bottom lane. Are they looking to make some sort of power play? Sven, as well, heads into this bot lane, but everyone is converging on this location, even from the Giants lineup. It's going to be the 3 versus 3. The bottom tower should be falling here with not too much contest, but there's the stun going on to the whole
too
lineup.
Much damage.
And this is a lot of damage coming through. Adri is following up as well.
Here comes
Can they pin them down? Here comes Whirlybee. He's actually fairly close. They're getting his ultimate off. Mister takes this opportunity to initiate. And again, this is all over the place.
The what?
Giants are all together though, but there's the Cataclysm. The back line has been separated from the front, and a 3 for 0 for Giants. A perfect fight for them.
Far too aggressive out of Ascension. They face tank a turret for too many shots and just end up getting cleaned up from that fight. Dragon still not spawning for a little while means Giants can turn their attention possibly to an inner turret in the middle lane.
Mister may be caught out here by Frederick, who will go for the flag and drag, then turns around and his team isn't anywhere near. Now they're arriving, but they won't look to try and seize this middle lane. I guess there's no one to contest it, but everyone is very low from Giants.
But the Giants' push is just so strong right now between Lucian, between Na, everybody there. Once that standard is out for that extra attack speed means they can just chunk that turret down. And Giants going from strength to strength here. 23 minutes into the game, they are looking to be in a great position.
Yeah, they have a 6,000 gold advantage over Ascension at this stage in the game. That's been converted into even more items. Aegis picked up, Trinity Force now completed by Na, which is a curious pickup because you don't usually see damage items picked up this early by Nas.
It's curious to a degree, because there are players doing this on Na. It's perhaps not the most common build, and the efficiency of the build in competitive is somewhat untested, as we haven't seen a lot of Na being picked. We've seen a lot of it banned because of his strength in solo queue. But Trinity Force, I would say, is a solid item, depending on your playstyle as Na. If you want to be tanky, if you want to jump in, probably not the best item, but if you want to deal a lot of damage, sure, Trinity Force can be an option to go to.
Ascension here, that's the charm onto Frederick, but Flezef, I'm not sure if you caught that right there, but did pop his ultimate. We've got very, very skittish around Frederick just landing a flag on top of him. Lots of vision coming down towards left and right, and it will be Giants once again starting off the Dragon here. Will he be transformed into Meganar? That signals that Ascension will be backing off here, not making any aggressive play. They are falling further and further behind. This is starting to approach to around 8,000 gold. And Flezef flashes away, so doesn't have his ultimate or flash next time he gets caught out.
Flash for flash traded though. Mister is on his own red. He's been spotted out.
Maybe caught out here by Giants. Can't quite get in range just yet, but they will happily take away the red buff. Adri will be running away with this one. And now they head into the top lane. This is a tower all out on its lonesome, and this should be an easy pickup for Giants. I'd be surprised if Ascension decide to fight over this, though.
I would be surprised, as the ultimates are all available for Giants, and Ascension have to know that. They're looking for a pick from the side, though, but they aren't going to get it. This positioning is too good for Giants.
So, again, another tower going the way of Giants. 2 towers over their opponents of Ascension. And in terms of items, definitely further ahead. Here comes a culling for some harassment, but there will be a huge onslaught of shadows onto the team. Big Bubble onto 3 players. Will he be again on the back lines, but again tanking the turret?
Ascension.
Super Mega Death Rocket lands the first kill, lands the second kill. This is cleanup time for Legiscaro. Picks up the triple, looking for his Quadra. He does land the last crit. Zap comes through, and the Quadra and a 5-for-1. Huge turnaround for Ascension.
That is the strength of Maokai. So much damage was mitigated during that team fight, and Ascension were once again able to split Giants up. Cataclysm is still available for Frederick, and that is becoming unforgivable in these team fights. That is their bread and butter with this composition, and you are not utilizing it to your strengths, Giants. You have to get that composition working for you, because you have just pretty much lost all momentum in this lead.
And this Hecarim pick is starting to pay dividends for Ascension. This has been the last couple of team fights, and Onslaught of Shadows has set them up perfectly. And right out of the bus, that was completely unexpected from the lineup of Giants. That results in a Baron, that results in a 5-for-1, and just an insane gold swing coming out from Ascension, being that there's only less than 3,000 gold in it now.
The story of this series so far has been getting Jinx fed and cleaning up team fights, which is what we saw all the way through Jinx's period of play through 2014's season. A lot of the teams were getting so many kills on Jinx that she just became unstoppable, and in both games of this series, that has been the case. I would perhaps put to these teams that a Jinx ban, if this goes to games 3, might be a good idea.
Yeah, it just seems like that random factor that they don't want to be keeping on the table. Ascension now, heading into the bottom lane with that shiny Baron buff. What can they do with it, though? Yes, they have evened up the gold totals, and now they are actually leading in kills for all that matters in this game. The AD carry, for sure, is in a very good position with 2 major items, plus that BF sword on top of them.
Ooh, the ping went down defensively, because look at how Giants postured in this mid lane. And take a look at the itemization on Adri. Has picked up that Bloodthirster for the extra shield. He's going to be more difficult to kill in these fights. But they didn't have to back off anymore. Ascension now pressuring this bottom lane. They see that Whirly B is just timing out from Mega Gnar. So his potency in this teamfight is going to be severely reduced, and Ascension are going to take this opportunity to look towards that bottom tower.
They're chipping away at that inner turret here. Giants have moved into the bottom lane to contest. So we're just waiting for this minion wave to arrive, but Ascension, first time in the game, are on the aggression. They are in the driver's seat, trying to make an impact, trying to take away an objective, but so far the minion wave, or the wave clear, is huge from Giants.
Nami is taking a very dangerous path down to this engage as well, and that's the other part of their team that they're waiting for here. Ascension don't want to go in 4v5. They know that they've managed to get Giants into a good situation in a couple of these team fights. They need the disengage from Nami, though, to be able to kite back with Jinx. And now they have the team set up that they want here. Now they're going to be able to siege this turret, but the wave clear is pretty strong here.
They are finding it very difficult to get this tower down, but they are slowly chipping away at it. A couple minion waves more, and they will manage to take it down. But this is taking such a long time. The Golems have respawned, and their Baron buff is starting to whittle down. And that's all that Giants need to do. They just need to hang on, wait out, weather the storm, and they'll be in a much better situation.
I've just given you a slight peek at the setup here from Hecarim. I thought he was looking to go into the fight. Here he comes from the side.
From behind, they go for this fight. They should be away from the turret. Tidal Wave comes across. The AD carry gets deleted. And now there's a huge ultimate coming in from Mega Gnar. But they do not have any damage behind them, and Ascension pick up the turret and now move towards this inhibitor turret.
Adri is down. That's a big part of their wave clear that is missing here, and Ascension, with the tail end of their Baron buff, look for an inhibitor turret.
The stun lock is massive onto Mister. Gets the wallop, and they do repel them temporarily. Lucian is still down for the count, however, but they will move into the middle lane and just take the safer option of the next outer turret.
Much better option here for Ascension. This is a far easier turret to take than an inhibitor turret. And Ascension are about to have a little bit of a relax point in their aggression. They have to back away once this Baron buff is down. They don't have quite as much in the way of map control as they would like to be able to pressure inhibitor turrets right now. So we are going into a little bit of a slower period, and that means Giants will have some time to regain some vision here.
Now on to this Dragon. Whirly B gets hit up by the charm from Flazef, jumps over the wall, is in Mega Gnar. He doesn't have his ultimate though. They do have Cataclysm, and will they choose to go for this engagement? Here's the engage from Sven here, using the twist to advance to get onto the back lines. Dragon goes down, this time again to Giants. They get the steal. Super Mega Death Rocket comes across, a 1-for-1 on both of the junglers. AD carries are trading blows, and looks like these guys will be disengaging, so jungler for jungler, but again, Frederick gets away with the Dragon.
He does, but is the positioning for Giants good enough here? Monsoon used to heal the team. That strikes to me they're going to look for an aggressive push, but there's nothing available to push. Yes, it's a fairly low cooldown at this point in the game, but that is a big cooldown used should have Ascension would have looked for an engage. However, they won't. Both teams are going to disengage from each other, and Giants are going to establish some control here. So in that team fight, we once again saw Frederick and Whirly B were not close enough to each other to make their composition work for them, and I am becoming a very broken record saying that. But I'm going to say it every time it doesn't happen, because it's a massive factor in this game.
We actually haven't seen it a single time.
No.
We have not seen a Cataclysm Gnar ultimate into each other. They picked it knowing the composition and the combo, but have never actually used it in a team fight.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I have a feeling the viewers are going to be saying that we are just making things up. It's not a very strong combination, but trust me. Wow, that was a little bit of a misread. Frederick just took that. I think it was with the Elder Lizard. That's actually a really significant point here, because when Ascension starts to siege up, Scatter the Weak is a big factor when it comes to denying the aggression of the sieging team. And the blue buff, obviously extra mana, and the extra cooldown is so good for Xpepi for actually stopping the siege here. So that's a miscommunication that could be very costly.
Yeah, if Ascension go on the aggressive again, Baron in 30 seconds, you have to feel it's the next point of contention though. Whirly B hops forwards, gets some damage onto Mister. And there's a Cataclysm onto Angelus, trying to get a pick here. He will flash away. At this stage in the game, I mean, yes, there is a flash, but you have to question whether Cataclysm is a little more important with the Baron imminent.
And I would answer that with yes, it is. Just straight up, I would answer that with Cataclysm in a team fight composition that depends on Cataclysm is a very, very useful tool to have. I mean, it's the same as using a Rumble ultimate before an engage to try and kill one person around an objective. It's that kind of level of importance to me in this kind of composition.
But you have to actually use that combination for it to be useful. Baron has now spawned. Neither team actually decide to dance around it. They will head back into the mid lane, maybe start the siege game again. Ascension move into the jungle, trying to get the vision control down. Interestingly enough, Ascension have not all opted towards the red trinket and the blue trinket 34 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that's a bit of a lapse in read of the game here. I mean, it's something we've seen just consistently since Worlds is by the 25-minute mark, you should be set up. But here's the setup for the gank by Mister.
And again, Mister comes in from behind, uses the ultimate, comes in and gets the fear down. But Xpepi also gets taken up by the charm. They pick up the middle laner. This is looking like a good team fight, but Sven gets dragged into the base. They take down Frederick as well. No ultimate lands onto 4 members, but still, there is no one behind him. This is the repeating story all the way through the game. 3 for 1, and what can they take away from this?
They're going to go to Baron because they don't have the minion wave quite yet. Blue trinket goes down, but they're not pushing him mid-turret. There's only one place they're going, so I guess that's just confirming the vision on that one. This is going to be a fairly easy Baron for Ascension to take. The culling is not available to deal damage from afar, so Rydell and Adri are going on a one-way trip should they look to contest this.
2 versus 4, but do they have enough poke? He just needs to get in range to try and deter them. I mean, Mister is very low, but this is extremely close, and they back off. So Baron will be going over to Ascension. Big power play.
Yeah, second one of the game here for Ascension, and this could result in the first inhibitor going down. That's going to be the place they siege next, but I like this play. Very smart of Ascension to read. Yes, okay, they're going to get the regeneration, but they're all sitting on a fair amount of gold right now. and they need to make sure they buy up any last important items before they look to siege.
I still cannot decide whether Ascension are complete geniuses or are insane. Because
well, there is a fine line between genius and insanity.
It's true, but letting that composition go through, yes, it's not working out for Giants, but did they know that? Hecarim's working out in this composition perfectly. Engage after engage gets set up for them. Every team fight has really just gone their way by superior positioning and engages. You just have to wonder, was this pre-planned by Ascension? And if it was, they are geniuses.
Someone has Jat's crystal ball if this was pre-planned by Ascension. If you could plan that your opponents weren't going to land their composition time and time and time again. I mean, to be honest, I'm starting to believe perhaps Ascension were just like, yeah, give it to them. Because we can beat them even when they've got a very strong comp. Because, I mean, remember, these guys qualified through Nordic East who, typically, if you look at past results, if you look at history in black and white alone, Nordic East teams have not been able to compete as well with the EUS teams when we come to a promotion tournament. We've always seen good performances, but Ascension are looking a lot stronger in this game than Giants are.
Seems like they're going to be breaking the mold here in this series for sure. And they have absolutely evened up the goal total. It is now dead even, and with the Baron buff, you can firmly say they're ahead in this game now, as they look to try and take away this inner turret, the last inner turret from Giants in this second game. Remember, this will even it up to 1-on-1 in this series, and yes, they need to take another game away from them, but if they're able to consistently out-position and out-think Giants, then they're in a good place to try and take it away this series.
Flezeth is doing something a little bit optimistic by pushing in that middle lane. Yes, he has Spirit Rush available, but you're a big part of the damage of your team. Yeah, okay, you've got a 10-2 Jinx, who is pretty good at dealing damage, but if Jinx falls, you need the extra damage from Ahri, so not often do you see an Ahri in a solo lane split pushing like this.
Maybe he's just assuming he can one-on-one anyone who comes over to him, but they did quickly send Na and Syndra to try and deal with that minion wave, but that has left the top lane a little bit vulnerable. Now they will be trying to chunk this down as fast as possible. Duskro not getting in range with the minigun, just making sure he chips away at it with Mr. Fishbones, so he's at maximum range. But now they've just given up the ghost. They head back to the next turret. They decide this turret is not worth it.
That was a hard-fought turret, though, as well. That soaked up a long duration of that Baron buff. Only about an eighth of the buff actually remains here. And Ascension really have to use this. They have a big wave pushing in towards the bottom lane, towards that inhibitor turret, but they're going to struggle because there is a fair amount of wave clear here on Giants. The culling is available once again, so that'll deter the next push here, and should, I imagine, be used on this bottom lane wave.
Well, the crucial part now is for Ascension to break this inner ring of turrets. These inhibitor turrets really will signal whether they can finish off the game, because from here it could stalemate for a long time if Giants are able to wave clear before the minion wave hits the turret.
And it's a lot more difficult for Ascension to get their composition to work in front of an inhibitor turret because they don't really have the option to flank with Hecarim that they've been using all game long. So this is more about the upfront damage that they can do and chipping down over time, as you alluded to. So Ascension have their work cut out here, and this is going to be a slower pace here, but slowly but surely, Flezeth is starting to take it. Cataclysm!
Cataclysm onto Flezeth, but he has his ultimate. There we go. Spirit Rush will be used, and this big team fight ultimate is exchanged for Ahri's. Middle turret, though, you take a look at it, and he's been doing work on that turret. It's almost dead. They just need to make one strong push, and it'll fall over.
I mean, if you're Flezeth, you just won the jackpot on that one. You managed to trade the team fight ult for the escape ult when you still have flash available. So, I mean, Flezeth was just aiming for anything.
Frederick has been caught out in the jungle. There's the bubble from Angelus, and he has nowhere to go. But he will flank and drag away. This will be using the ultimate from Mister. He doesn't land it. Frederick uses the flank and drag and the flash. I said he has nowhere to go, but I guess that's an escape option. They did use a lot of ultimates on that. Yes, they took away the dragon, but that must have spooked Frederick for sure.
Oh, you have to feel if Ascension could have got that kill, they could have looked to close this game out. But this is a pretty crazy game. That has been the word to describe this game ever since pick 1 of Picks and Bans. Crazy. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly Ascension's brilliance or
insanity.
I kind of want to say leaving themselves open with completely ridiculous setup for Picks and Bans. But you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm going with this game. Who knows? Apparently leaving Nar open is a fine thing to do these days.
Apparently, but you take a look at the items all across the board, and from his Hecarim, he's not opted towards that Trinity Force, which you sometimes see from that pick, but what he has gone for is the Iceborne Gauntlet.
What I want to know is, okay, I guess he does have hands to wear a gauntlet. That was going to be my next thing, should it be like hooves?
Maybe. You need 4 of them, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is that extra item efficiency?
I don't know. Maybe you should buy 2.
I don't think it works like that, folks. Oh, dear. It's getting quite into this game now. 42 minutes in. We're into the late game. We've made it.
And Ascension are saying they've made it, but not quite yet. They have 1 more hurdle to go. Mister, can he get 1 more good Onslaught of Shadow? There's been 3 or 4 in a row now, which has decided the team fight before it's even really begun. He needs to make it the 4th or 5th time heading into this next fight.
And they've dragged Giants out of their base. That is a great position for Ascension. Now they can get the flank using that Onslaught of Shadows that is going to come from Hecarim, and he's looking for it here, but the rest of the team aren't quite in position. You can see they're just angling for it. Ooh, it's tense moments here.
No, Whirly B is the one to zone him away, heads into his Mega Form, Boulder Toss comes through, but they just need to wait for him to calm down, go for that timeout, and then he won't be able to transform again in a short while.
Whirly B transforming is just the key right now for Giants. And Ascension are just going to wait it out every time. I mean, Flezith is looking for an engage here. I don't think he's going to find it. He'd have to use a lot here and risk the counter engage coming out. But Ascension have waited this out. Baron is available once again. But they haven't really created the pressure to get the Baron anytime soon.
Naduskuro sitting on basically full items. What he could do next is pick up a Zephyr, but that's all he could do from here. He is almost item capped, but Mister, has he been caught out? Not just yet, just get chunked a little here. Hecarim still fairly tanky and does have the healing from Angelus, so over time he will be back in fighting shape. Whirly B has been locked into transforming, but yet he goes for the engagement, doesn't land it on anyone. Here comes the crunch, here comes the Nara ultimate, lands onto 3 people. Here's the combo they were looking for, but Freddy, here comes the Cataclysm onto Ladustro. He's not able to get out of this ring, but he does manage to take down his aggressor. That being said, Adri comes in with the kill, a 3-for-1. It's so late into the game. Could they do anything off the back of this, like take down the rest of the base? This is a 4-for-1. They're chasing down Angelus, but it's only to support, teleport into the bottom lane. Is it long enough for them to head into the base and clean up the game?
They've got 40+ seconds on the cooldowns for 2+ champions here on Ascension, and it was going so well. Ascension with an unorthodox composition, maybe. Giants have just done enough. They've been very sloppy with their composition all game long, but even so, there is the potency of Nara in the team fights. He gets the 3-person stun, and that ultimately will allow Giants to advance.
It was only a matter of time, but this game goes to a 2-0 for Giants. And as you mentioned, all of that progress that Ascension managed to make, all thrown out the window by one last engage that just didn't go their way.
I really feel for Ascension after that game. That was hard fought, and props to them for holding on and giving away such strong picks. But I guess if we needed an example of why Nara is banned, you can miss however many composition, team fights that you want to miss. Land one, and you win the game.
This is the case study. You can literally miss everything, land one, you win the game at 45 minutes. All of those team fights that Ascension won, every little bit of ground that they managed to edge in, all